so as so welcome to this channel, and welcome to Mentor Vikas. And in this video I am just going to talk about how we can manage how we can use hello friends, welcome to my channel. And in this video we are going to understand how we can manage events in our QWIK application. Okay, so to do this, basically it is a form. It's a simple form which you can see here. Like if I just navigate to this section and this contact section, so this is that contact folder, right? So here we have mentioned that index.test.tsx in our previous video. So why at that this? Because we wants to use the layout which we had defined earlier. So right now I'm just removing that layout, and by default I'm taking the layout which is being rendered to all and every component. Okay, so this contact form is also going to render that, right? So what exactly I'm willing to, firstly I would like to change the make it better so that it would look like a form. So to do that I am just using CSS of Tailwind, right? And firstly I want to give it a flex, and sorry, so as I save it, then flex direction, flex flex um, colon, flex wrap, and I am basically going to increase its size. Okay, so it's contact form, here's the form. So that form we are giving this the classes. So that flex flex direction, flex row, flex colon. Okay, so then next is I'm going to give some padding. So I'm going to give some margin 12, and after then I'm going to give some gap of 2, I think more 4 will be good. And even I am willing to increase its margin up to 20. It's margin from left, margin from y-axis, z-axis, sorry, x-axis, and yeah, and a margin of y-axis of around 5, right? So now it's somewhere look like a form. Okay, and instead of just giving this type, I am also going to give some label, right? So I'm using that label tag, and this is for first name. So what's the label is first name, same for other tags. So I think instead of HTML we have to use that for, and not this but the for attribute, and just for attribute. Okay, that is good, right? So we have this first name, this last name, and the final one is our email, right? So this is going to be our email, right? And after doing all this we have our submit form. Okay, so to make it look better, I'm just going to add a class here and giving a padding giving a margin bottom of around 5. Okay, and to this button I am going to give some classes, and here the classes would be like bg background black, make it purple, that would also good, and bg, and apart from this color text, sorry, a font, I think, sorry, I have to mention it here, right? So font would be white, w font, what I am printing here, font font, or text white, right? So I think that would be good. Okay, so this exactly now looks like a little bit of form. Okay, so now basically what we have to do, we have to track the value of each input field. For example, here we have this input field, here we have second input field, and here we have third input field, right? So to manage all these, we have to create a state. Okay, so as I had mentioned in our earlier videos, to manage the state, we have to use useStore. So we basically have to firstly import that useStore and thus create a const, that is user data, right? And here I just use this useStore, and here in this useStore I am going to declare my fields. So the first field is app name, that is blank for now, and the second is L name, that is also blank for now, and the third one is email, right? And the third one is email, and this is also blank for now, right? So I'm just going to give a signal to my application that okay, while changing some value, I would like to change, I would like to save that values to this input field. Okay, so to do that, I can use two things. Either I can use on input attribute, okay, on input, and here I do mention make a callback function, and here I just specify okay, whatever being the value is created from here, you have to submit like a use data dot email, not dot email, dot name, use data dot first name is equals to event dot, and where, and from where this event coming from, this is the event which will trigger the event dot target, target dot value, right? So in our case, our application doesn't know from where to target this. Okay, so basically we have to specify this, and to specify this we have to mention as event.target as HTML input attribute, input element. Okay, so we just write HTML input element, right? So like this, and we are just going to target this value which is coming from this input field. Okay, so this is the first way by which we can do this. Either we can also use some another method to do the same thing. So how we can do this? We can use a bind function. Okay, so instead of this, I can use this bind dot value, and in this I have to just mention the field to which this value should be bound to. Okay, so here I am just mentioning user dot last name. Okay, and bind, okay, bind, it's not that value, bind, after bind I just have to mention like this, what to bind with. Okay, so I think that is going to work like this. No, well, I had seen some example on their website. Okay, so let's go back to the QWIK website. But to do that, I have to connect to my. Okay, so mine dot value value mine value to um, so how to use this mine dot value. I think I was using the same way, right? So I have to define like so, or it is already defined. Signal string mine dot value signal and signal name. Okay, so either way, if it is like this, can't I use this directly? Use data dot simple use data dot my function name. I think it exactly don't allow me to do that, right? Okay, so instead I have to declare some type here, I think. Let's see what's the error is. So the error is the string is not assignable to the type string or undefined. Okay, so instead I can say its type could be as any. No, that is not going to work. Okay, so basically so to target all these values, I have to use this format on input. Okay, and by doing this I can change its value to like this. So for the last name I am also going to do the same. So instead of using that user data dot first name, I am going to user data dot last name, right? Sorry, it's last L name, and for the same I'm going to use for that our email. Okay, so let's copy this and paste here in our email block. Okay, and here I'm just going to replace this last name with my email. Okay, so I think but I had pasted it somewhere at wrong place, right? So to make it correct, I just have to replace this with here. Okay, so after doing this I think everything would be fine and I can easily track the value. Okay, so to finally check, okay, if everything works fine or not, I'm just going to use console, right? Console.log to check out if I'm getting this value or not, if everything get updated here or not. So instead of where I had defined this count, so what's the error? So calling the use method outside of the component. Okay, where I had used this. Okay, so I had not I'm not willing to use this outside of my component. I am just going to place it like just here, right? So I think that would be fine, and now I would not going to get any error, right? So let's see. Okay, everything looks good. So let's check this out. If everything this is me, this is last name, this is email. Okay, so basically I had just done everything right. I'm going to just submit this form. So as I just hit the submit, I should get the value of all these data from here to here, but exactly I'm not getting any data, right? So why it is so? Because to do that I have to use something that is on submit. On this button I have to use on submit function, okay, to submit, not on this but here on this form tag I have to use on submit, right? So where I have to specify what function to trigger. Okay, so here I just have to copy this handle submit and I just have to paste it here. Okay, and after doing all this, I think I have to go to some video to take some help. Okay, so let's.
And that all works. Also, we'll come to, so we say form, give it a margin top, then input and text area, a little bit with not specific. So, but an onboard how we can use. Let's now look at some form events for each of these different down here. So a property for each one, and that's what we're going to do. So let me say, and we'll think about this for a mixed one. Now we could make two pieces of state using use signal, or we could use store. Call it format so we can track which is also to this input. I want to. So how do we do that? When they start typing it into the text area, I want to update this property. So how do we do that? What had done bias? Now what do we have to right click here, and that's it, which is the input, and then no, we've done this input like so. Now the key is to pop it like so this in here and start typing that it's working. So on form, I'll duplicate this and bottom. Well, let's add these input changes when we type into these different things. And we have send up a console. So form state going to happen in bots message. All right. So what's going to happen if we try this? Let's come up, let's type in a second, didn't we? Then it refresh the page. Now that refreshing of the page is the default when we click on a button is working by default form.
So basically I have to use another attribute here, because by default basically what happen whenever you press this, you click on this button, it will trigger and refresh. So to make it behave right, you have to use prevent default, right? And instead of this animation I just have to use that submit, prevent default on submit, submit, prevent default submit, right? So you have to use this, and after this
it's being submitted, and it's being submitted whenever we click the button inside a form. So that event occurs, yeah, we're logging this to the console behavior. So what we've done kind of like, well, event the default action of the page reloaded. And now, if I want to do is I want to reset this here. We could use that, so we can put this stuff right and press save. Let's submit the form. And no, it doesn't. It's cleared down here where we output the values, but not in the form. And that's because we've only got one-way data binding going on right here. When we update the values in here, it's updating this, but when we update this, it's not in turn updating these things. So, in order to get that.
So now in order to get these values to also get updated to this field, to this input field, we have to also use value, right? So here I can use value, and in this value I am just going to target these data type and then first. Okay, so how we can do this? We can simply use this use data, then first name, same as for the other fields. here I am using this value so that these values can be there. And so here we have that last name, and the value for that email field should be value dot user data dot value dot email, right? So by doing this, now these input fields will persist these values, which is now being stored on user data state. Okay, and on submit, basically what I want to do, I basically want to call a function, right? And here in this function I would like to console.log the value of this user data. Okay, so I'm just going to paste here that okay, I'm just willing to console this value once data is being submitted. Okay, so to finally see this if everything works fine or not, I just have to go there and put my first name, so it's Vikas, VIKSH, last name is Singh, and the email is vikas@gmail.com, right? And just as I hit the submit button, it should be reflected there, right? So let's submit this, and as you can see, we have console, we have this data right there. Okay, that is the first name is Vikas, last name is email, and last name is Singh, and that email is this one. Okay, so now we have this object like here. Okay, so I can also target like this, or I can say individually, right? Okay, data dot first name comma data dot last name comma data dot email. Okay, I can also do this. So just take one more try, and my email is xyz@gmail.com, right? So just when I submit, I'm getting all my data like this, right? So here we had seen how we can submit our form, and in another video we will see that how we can even pass that function as in props. So here as you can see, I had just on submit, I just call an callback function, right? Like so. So instead of doing this, what if I just want to use my handle submit function? Okay, how we can use this, and how we can simply console the data of user data by this function, that is our handle submit. Okay, and how we can replace this or this code, and that is an on submit, with our function that we had defined there. As you can see, at this time you will have this error. Okay, so in next video we will see how to resolve this. Okay, for now I think this would be good, and you had learned a lot of things, right? So see you in the next video. Bye bye.